My name is Susan. I am 54 years old. For almost 30 years, I worked as an emergency room nurse. My late husband Marcus and I saved $120,000. Every single dollar came from sweat, sacrifice, and love. After Marcus passed, my daughter Kristen became everything to me. But there are lines that even a mother's love cannot cross. What happened 6 months ago changed my life forever. Before I share this story, let me know where you are watching from. Hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Have you ever felt like your own child saw you as nothing more than an ATM machine? Stay with me. Let me tell you about Marcus first. He was an electrician. Honest, hardworking, and devoted to our family. We met when I was 23, fresh out of nursing school. He came to fix some wiring at the hospital where I had just started working. He smiled at me, and something in my chest shifted. 3 months later, we were engaged. 6 months after that, we were married. Our life was never luxurious. We lived in a modest house in a small town in Wisconsin. Marcus worked long hours. I took night shifts at the hospital, so one of us could always be home with Kristen. We did not take fancy vacations. We did not drive expensive cars. But we had each other, and that was enough. Marcus was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer 6 winters ago. The doctors said he had maybe a year. He lasted 8 months. Those 8 months were the hardest of my life. I would finish my shift at the hospital, come home, and take care of him. I barely slept, I barely ate, but I would not let anyone else care for him. He was my husband, my partner, my best friend. On a quiet March morning, Marcus held my hand and looked into my eyes. His voice was barely a whisper. He said, "Live well for me, Susan. Promise me you will take care of yourself." I promised. He closed his eyes and he was gone. The grief nearly destroyed me, but I had Kristen. She was 23, then still finding her way in the world. I told myself I had to be strong for her. I could not fall apart. So I went back to work. I kept the house. I maintained our routines. And I held on to that savings account like it was sacred. Because it was. $120,000. 30 years of 2 people working, saving, sacrificing. Marcus wanted that money to give me security in my old age. He made me promise never to let anyone take it from me. Now, let me tell you about my daughter. Kristen was our only child. From the moment she was born, she was the center of our universe. Marcus especially adored her. He could never say no to her. If she wanted a new toy, he bought it. If she wanted to skip her chores, he let her. I worried sometimes that we were spoiling her, but I did not want to fight about it. I told myself she would grow out of it. Kristen went to college, but dropped out in her 3rd year. She said she was bored, that school was not for her. I was disappointed, but I supported her decision. I thought maybe she needed time to figure out what she wanted. After Marcus died, she lived with me for 2 years. It was nice having her around. The house felt less empty. Then she met Derek. She met him at a bar 3 years ago. She came home that night with stars in her eyes, talking about this amazing man she had just met. He was charming, she said. Ambitious. He had big plans for the future. He was going to be somebody. I met Derek a few weeks later. He came to the house for dinner. He was handsome, I will give him that. Tall, with a confident smile and a firm handshake. But something about him made me uneasy. He talked a lot about his business ventures, his investment strategies, his connections. But when I asked specific questions, his answers were vague. He spoke in big ideas and grand visions, but nothing concrete. I shared my concerns with Kristen. She got angry. She said I was being judgmental, that I did not give Derek a chance. She said I was jealous because she had found someone who made her happy. That hurt. But I let it go. I did not want to push her away. 8 months after they met, Kristen and Derek got married. They wanted a big wedding at a fancy venue. The total cost was over $40,000. Derek said his family would contribute, but somehow that never happened. I ended up paying $15,000. It was more than I wanted to spend, but Kristen cried and begged. She said it was the most important day of her life. So I wrote the check. After the wedding, things started to change. Kristen called less often. When she did call, it was usually because she needed something. Money for rent because Derek's latest business deal fell through. Money to fix their car. Money to pay off Derek's credit card debt. Over 2 years, I gave them about $25,000. Not one penny was ever paid back. Every time I asked about the money, Kristen got defensive. She said I did not understand their situation. She said Derek was working hard and things would turn around soon. She said I should be supportive instead of keeping score. Derek's business ventures were a parade of failures. First, there was a coffee shop that closed after 4 months. Then he invested their savings in cryptocurrency and lost everything. Then he had a startup idea that no investor wanted to fund. Through it all, he maintained his confident smile and his big talk. And through it all, Kristen believed in him. I started saying no to some of their requests. Not all of them, but some. And when I did, Kristen would stop talking to me for days, sometimes weeks. She knew exactly how to punish me. The silent treatment. It worked every time. Eventually, I would give in just to have my daughter back. Last summer, Kristen called me with news that made my heart soar. She was pregnant. Her voice was bright and happy on the phone, the happiest I had heard her in years. She said she and Derek were thrilled. They were finally going to be a real family. I cried tears of joy. A grandchild. A piece of Marcus living on in the next generation. I thought maybe this would change everything. Maybe Derek would finally grow up and take responsibility. Maybe Kristen would mature and see things differently. Maybe our family would heal. I had no idea that this baby would become the reason for the biggest demand my daughter would ever make. The first request came when Kristen was 4 months pregnant. She called me on a Tuesday evening, her voice cheerful and excited. She said she wanted to decorate the nursery. She had found the perfect furniture, the perfect paint colors, the perfect everything. But she needed $5,000 to make it happen. I hesitated. $5,000 was a lot of money, but this was for my grandchild. This was different. I transferred the money the next day. Kristen promised she would send me pictures when the nursery was finished. 3 weeks passed. I asked about the nursery. She was vague. She said it was coming along, that she would show me soon. I waited another 2 weeks and asked again. Same answer. Then I saw it on social media. Derek had posted a photo of himself on a brand new motorcycle. A shiny red machine that he was showing off like a trophy. The comments were full of congratulations. His friends were impressed. I called Kristen immediately. I asked about the motorcycle. She got defensive right away. She said it was Derek's money, that it had nothing to do with what I had given them. I asked to see the nursery on video call. She refused. She said it was not ready yet, that she wanted it to be perfect before she showed me. Something was very wrong. I could feel it in my bones. 2 weeks later, I drove to their apartment without calling ahead. When Kristen opened the door, I could see the surprise and panic on her face. She tried to block my view, but I pushed past her gently and walked inside. The apartment was a mess. Dishes piled in the sink, clothes scattered on the floor, and the room that was supposed to be the nursery, completely empty. Not a single piece of furniture, not a drop of paint, nothing. I turned to face my daughter. "Where is the nursery?" I asked. "Where did the $5,000 go?" Kristen burst into tears. She said Derek had to use it for an emergency. He had gambling debts that she did not know about. Collectors were threatening him. He had no choice. I stood there in that messy apartment looking at my pregnant daughter crying, and I felt something inside me crack. Not break completely. Not yet. but crack. Before I could say anything else, Derek walked through the door. He saw me and his expression shifted quickly from surprise to that easy, confident smile he always wore. He greeted me warmly, as if nothing was wrong, as if my $5,000 had not vanished into his gambling debts. I asked him directly about the money. He did not even have the decency to look ashamed. He shrugged and said family shares, everything. He said the money helped the whole family, which meant it helped the baby too. He said I should not worry so much about money. After all, I had plenty saved up. I felt ice run through my veins when he said that. I asked him how he knew about my savings. He glanced at Kristen. She looked away. Derek smiled and said Kristen told him. He said $120,000 was more than enough for a retired woman living alone. He said I should think about investing some of it in their future. After all, they were family. I left without saying another word. I drove home in the dark, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. Derek knew exactly how much money I had. Kristen had told him everything. My own daughter had given a man I did not trust the roadmap to my life savings. That night, I could not sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, remembering Marcus on his deathbed. He had made me promise to protect that money. He had said people would try to take it from me. He had warned me to be careful. I always thought he meant strangers. I never imagined he might have meant our own daughter. The phone call from the airline came on December 10th. A polite customer service representative asked if I wanted to change the beneficiary information on my travel rewards account. I was confused. I had not requested any changes. The representative explained that someone had contacted them using my daughter's email address asking about transferring points to a different name. No changes had been made yet, but they wanted to verify. I thanked the representative and hung up. My hands were trembling. Why would Kristen be trying to access my airline account? What else was she looking into? I called Kristen and asked her directly about the airline inquiry. There was a long pause before she answered. She said she was just curious about how the point system worked. She said she thought maybe they could use my points for a baby moon trip before the baby arrived. She said it was no big deal. I told her she should have asked me first. She got defensive and said I was overreacting. She said she was not trying to steal anything, that she was my daughter, and I should trust her. Before I could respond, I heard Derek's voice in the background saying something. Then Kristen quickly said she had to go and hung up. 2 days later, I tried to access my bank account online and discovered that someone had attempted to log in using an incorrect password. 3 failed attempts. The account had been temporarily locked for security. I went to the bank in person. The manager showed me the login attempts. They had come from an IP address I did not recognize. She asked if anyone else knew my account information. I said no. But even as I said it, I remembered all the times Kristen had been in my house. All the times she could have looked through my papers. All the times I had trusted her completely. The bank manager helped me change my passwords and set up additional security. She looked at me with sympathy in her eyes. She had seen this before, she said. Family members trying to access accounts. It was more common than people thought. I drove home feeling sick to my stomach. My own daughter was trying to get into my accounts. My own daughter was planning something. I just did not know what yet. The confrontation came a week later. I called Kristen and told her we needed to talk. She agreed to meet me at a restaurant neutral ground. When I arrived, Derek was with her. Of course he was. We ordered food that none of us would eat. The tension at the table was thick enough to cut. Finally, I asked Kristen directly. I asked about the bank login attempts. I asked what she was planning. Kristen looked at Derek. He nodded slightly. Then she turned back to me and said they needed to talk about the future. Derek took over. He explained their plan in his smooth, confident voice. He said they needed to buy a bigger house before the baby arrived. Their current apartment was too small. They had found the perfect place, but they needed $80,000 for the down payment. He said they would pay me back eventually. He said it was an investment in the family. I could not breathe. $80,000. 2/3 of everything I had. I told them that was impossible. I said I could not give them that much money. Derek's expression hardened for just a moment before he fixed his smile back in place. He said I was being selfish. He said I was an old woman living alone with no expenses. He said the money was just sitting in the bank doing nothing when it could be helping my grandchild. I looked at Kristen, waiting for her to say something, waiting for her to defend me. Instead, she reached across the table and took my hand. Her voice was sweet, the same voice she used when she was little, and wanted something. She said I had $120,000. She said $80,000 was not that much. She said I would still have $40,000 left. She said I should think about what was more important, money in a bank account, or my own grandchild having a nice home. I pulled my hand away. I told her that money was everything her father and I had worked for. I said Marcus had worked until his last breath to save that money. I said it was meant for my security in old age. Kristen's sweet expression vanished. Her face twisted with anger. She said her father was dead. She said dead people do not need money. She said I was being dramatic and unfair. She said I was choosing money over my own grandchild. The restaurant went quiet. People at nearby tables were staring. I stood up, my legs shaking. I told Kristen she had just trampled on her father's memory. I told her I was finished having this conversation. Then I walked out. She did not come after me. I sat in my car in the parking lot for over an hour. I could not drive. I could not think. All I could do was remember Marcus in his hospital bed holding my hand, making me promise. "The money is for you," he had said. "Do not let anyone take it." I had promised. I had sworn to him. But he never said the person trying to take it would be our own daughter. After that dinner, Kristen did not contact me for 3 days. I thought maybe she was giving us both time to cool down. I was wrong. On the 4th day, the messages started. The first one was almost casual. "Have you thought about what we discussed?" The second one was more direct. "I need to know your decision so we can plan accordingly." The third one was irritated. "If you are not going to help, just say so instead of ignoring me." I did not respond to any of them. Then came the phone calls. I let them go to voicemail. I could not bear to hear her voice. The voicemails started worried, then angry, then tearful. "Mom, you are being ridiculous. Just call me back. Mom, I am pregnant. You are stressing me out and it is bad for the baby. Mom, Derek says you are being selfish and I am starting to agree with him." I deleted each voicemail after listening to it. Every word was another knife in my heart. At work, Ruth noticed something was wrong. Ruth had been my colleague and friend for 15 years. She knew me better than almost anyone. One evening during a quiet moment in the ER, she asked me what was going on. I told her everything: the money requests, the failed login attempts, the demand for $80,000, the things Kristen had said about Marcus. Ruth listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then she told me about her sister. Her sister had given her son everything he asked for: college tuition, a car, help with rent. Eventually, the son asked for her retirement savings to start a business. The sister gave it to him. The business failed within a year. Now Ruth's sister was 68 years old, living on Social Security and food stamps. Her son had not spoken to her in 3 years. Ruth looked at me with sadness in her eyes. She said, "Loving your children does not mean destroying yourself for them." She said sometimes, the kindest thing you can do is say no. That night, I thought about Ruth's words. I thought about my sister Gloria in Portugal. I thought about the life I had been living since Marcus died, working, saving, worrying, giving, always giving. When was the last time I had done something for myself? I called Gloria the next day, During her morning, my evening. We had our usual weekly conversation, but this time when she asked how I was doing, I could not keep up the pretense. I broke down and told her everything. Gloria listened. She did not judge. When I finished, she said something that changed everything. "Why don't you come here for a while? Get away from all of it, clear your head." I almost laughed. I told her I could not just leave. I had responsibilities. I had work. Gloria asked me what responsibilities I had that could not wait. She reminded me I had enough vacation time saved to take months off. She said her apartment above the bakery had a spare room with my name on it. She said sometimes you have to leave to see things clearly. I told her I would think about it. 2 days later, Derek showed up at my house. I came home from the grocery store to find him standing on my front porch. Kristen was not with him. He said she was too tired to come, too stressed from the pregnancy. He said he was there to talk sense into me. We stood on my porch in the cold December air. Derek did not wait for me to invite him inside. He launched right into his speech. He said Kristen deserved better than a mother who hoarded money. He said I was being unreasonable. He said if I truly loved my daughter, I would help without question. I asked him about his own mother. I knew she was wealthy. I asked why he did not go to her for money. Derek's face tightened. He said his mother had different principles. She believed in people earning their own way. She had cut him off years ago, so his own mother had seen through him. His own mother had said no, and now he was here trying to drain me instead. I told Derek he needed to leave. He did not move. Instead, he stepped closer. His voice dropped lower. He said I should think about the future. He said if I helped them now, they would take care of me when I was old and could not take care of myself. But if I refused, well, I should not expect to see my grandchild. He said it calmly, like he was discussing the weather, like he was not threatening to keep my grandchild away from me. I opened my front door and walked inside. Then I turned and told him to get off my property. I told him if he came back, I would call the police. Then I shut the door in his face. I watched through the window as he stood there for a moment, his expression cold. Then he got in his car and drove away. That night, I booked a one-way ticket to Lisbon. I did not tell anyone except Ruth. I requested an extended leave of absence from the hospital. I transferred my savings to a new account at a different bank, one that Kristen did not know about. I arranged for a neighbor to check on my house. On the morning I was supposed to leave, I sent Kristen a text message. "I am going away for a while. I need space." Then I turned off my phone, got on the plane, and flew across the ocean. Gloria was waiting for me at the Lisbon airport. She looked older than I remembered, her hair more silver than brown now, but her smile was the same, warm and welcoming and full of love. The apartment above her bakery was small but beautiful. Tiled floors, white walls, a balcony overlooking a narrow cobblestone street. The air smelled like bread and salt from the nearby ocean. It was nothing like Wisconsin. It was perfect. For the first 2 days, I mostly slept. My body was exhausted in ways I had not realized. Years of night shifts and worry and stress had taken their toll. Gloria did not push me to talk. She let me rest. On the 3rd day, I turned on my phone. 30 missed calls from Kristen, 12 from Derek, 8 voicemails, dozens of text messages. I sat on the balcony and read through them all. The first messages were confused. "Where are you? What do you mean you need space?" Then came the anger. "You cannot just leave. What is wrong with you? You are my mother." Then the accusations. "You ran away with the money. You stole from your own grandchild. How could you do this?" Then the threats. "I am going to report you missing. I am going to tell everyone what you did. You will regret this." Finally, the manipulation. "Mom, please, I am sorry. I just want to talk. Please answer me. I love you." The same pattern Derek had used. Demand, anger, threats. then sweetness when nothing else worked. Kristen had learned from him. I showed Gloria the messages. She read them silently, her expression unreadable. When she finished, she handed me back my phone and asked what I wanted to do. I said I did not know. I said part of me wanted to answer, to explain everything, to make her understand. But another part of me knew that nothing I said would change anything. Kristen did not want to understand. She wanted money. Gloria nodded. She said I did not have to decide right now. She said I could wait until I was ready. The phone could stay off as long as I needed. So I left it off. For 2 more days I left it off. I helped Gloria in the bakery. I learned to shape bread dough and frost pastries. I walked the old streets of Lisbon and sat in tiny cafes drinking coffee I could not pronounce. I watched the sunset paint the city in shades of gold and pink. On the 6th day, my phone rang. It was the 31st call from Kristen. Something made me answer. Her voice was raw from crying. She demanded to know where I was. She asked why I had done this to her. She said I was cruel and selfish. She said she was pregnant and I had abandoned her. I let her talk until she ran out of words. Then I spoke calmly and clearly. I told her I was somewhere safe. I told her I needed time away from everything. I told her the savings were mine, earned over 30 years of hard work, and I would decide what to do with them. Kristen's voice turned sharp. She asked what about her? What about the baby? What about family? I told her she had a husband. She had Derek. She had told me many times that he would provide for them. Now was his chance to prove it. There was silence on the other end of the line. I continued. I told her the money was mine. Her father and I had worked our entire lives for it. She had no right to demand it as if it belonged to her. Helping family was one thing. Being treated like a bank account was something else entirely. Kristen started to cry. She said she was sorry. She said she did not mean those things. She said she just wanted her mother. I told her I loved her. I would always love her. But I could not continue to be her source of money every time she needed something. I told her when she understood the difference between love and obligation, we could talk again. Until then, she would have to find her own way. Before I hung up, I told her one more thing. I said that if she wanted to reach me, she would have to work for it. She would have to prove that she wanted a relationship with me as a person, not as a wallet. Then I ended the call. Gloria was standing in the doorway. She had heard everything. She walked over and handed me a cup of tea. Outside the window, the Lisbon sunset was painting the old rooftops in shades of red and orange. The weeks that followed were some of the most peaceful of my life. I fell into a rhythm at the bakery. Every morning I woke at 5 to help Gloria prepare for the day. I learned to make Portuguese sweet bread and custard tarts. I discovered muscles in my arms I did not know I had from kneading dough. I met the regular customers and practiced my terrible Portuguese with them. They laughed at my pronunciation but appreciated the effort. In the afternoons, I explored the city. I walked until my feet ached, discovering hidden churches and tiny squares and viewpoints that looked out over the red rooftops to the river below. I sat in parks and watched children play. I ate grilled fish at restaurants where I was the only tourist. I started writing in a journal, something I had not done since Marcus died. I wrote about Marcus, about our life together, about the dreams we had shared. I wrote about Kristen, about where things had gone wrong. I wrote about my fears and regrets and hopes. Putting words on paper helped me see things more clearly than I ever had before. Gloria and I talked for hours every evening. She told me about her own journey, how she had come to Portugal after her divorce at 45 with nothing but a suitcase and determination. She had built her bakery from nothing. She had learned a new language, made new friends, created a new life. If I can do it at 45, she said, you can do it at 54. I started to believe her. Ruth called every week with updates from home. The hospital missed me. My house was fine. And Kristen had given birth to a healthy baby girl. When Ruth told me about the birth, I felt a complex mix of emotions. Joy that my grandchild was here, sorrow that I was not there, relief that mother and baby were healthy, and underneath it all, a persistent ache that did not go away. Ruth said Kristen had not mentioned me on social media. The birth announcement did not include any reference to grandparents. It was as if I did not exist. I asked Ruth about Derek. She said he had finally gotten a job, something in sales. They were staying with a friend while they saved money. His mother still refused to help them, so they were managing. Without my $80,000, they were finding a way. It was not comfortable. It was not the life they had envisioned. But they were surviving. After 3 months in Lisbon, I made some decisions. I resigned from my position at the hospital. It was time. I had given them 28 years. I had enough pension and savings to live comfortably. There was no reason to go back to the grueling night shifts and the constant stress. I started the paperwork for a long-term visa in Portugal. Gloria said I could stay as long as I wanted. The apartment above the bakery had become home. I put my house in Wisconsin up for sale. I did not need it anymore. The money from the sale would give me additional security. The original $120,000 remained untouched in its new account. I was building a new life. And for the first time in years, I was building it for myself. One evening, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. I opened it to find a photograph of a newborn baby with pink cheeks and wispy dark hair. Below the photo were 2 words and a name. Your granddaughter, Emma. It was from Kristen. I stared at that photograph for a long time. This tiny person was part of me, part of Marcus, part of a legacy that stretched back through generations. She had his nose, I thought. Or maybe I was imagining it. I saved the photograph to my phone, but I did not respond. Not yet. Some wounds needed more time to heal. 6 months after I left the United States, an email arrived in my inbox. It was from Kristen. Not a text message, not a phone call, a proper email, the kind that takes time and thought to write. I read it 3 times before I fully absorbed what it said. She did not ask for money. Not a single word about finances. Instead, she wrote about her life, about the challenges of being a new mother, about how Derek had finally stepped up and was working steadily, about the small apartment they had rented, not fancy but theirs, about the sleepless nights and the tiny moments of joy. She wrote about me, about how she had thought about everything that happened, about how she realized she had treated me unfairly, about how she understood now why I had left. The last paragraph made me cry. She wrote that she did not expect forgiveness. She wrote that she knew she had said terrible things, things she could not take back. But she wanted me to know that she was sorry. Not because she wanted anything from me, just because she was truly, deeply sorry. I read that email every day for a week. I looked for hidden meanings for manipulation, for the same old patterns. I could not find them. The words felt genuine in a way that Kristen's words had not felt in years. I took my time responding. When I finally wrote back, I kept it short. I said I had received her letter. I said I appreciated her honesty. I said I needed more time, but I was glad she had reached out. Over the following months, we exchanged emails. Slowly at first, then more frequently. Kristen sent pictures of Emma growing, first smiles, first attempts at crawling. I sent pictures of Lisbon, of the bakery, of my new life. We did not talk about the past. We did not talk about money. We just talked. When Emma was 9 months old, I flew back to the United States for a visit. I did not stay at Kristen's apartment. I booked a hotel nearby. I wanted the freedom to leave if things went wrong. Gloria thought I was being overly cautious. Maybe I was, but I had learned the value of protecting myself. Kristen met me at a coffee shop, neutral territory. She brought Emma. The moment I saw my granddaughter in person, something broke open inside me. She had Marcus's nose. I had not imagined it. She looked at me with curious eyes, reaching out her tiny hands. I held her for the first time, this small, warm weight against my chest, and tears streamed down my face. Kristen watched us, tears in her own eyes. When I finally looked up at her, she spoke softly. She said she was sorry. She said those words had been building up inside her for months, and now that I was here, she could finally say them face to face. She was sorry for everything. I told her I forgave her. I said those words and I meant them. Forgiveness did not mean forgetting. Forgiveness did not mean going back to how things were. But it meant letting go of the anger that had been weighing me down. We talked for 3 hours that day. About the past, about the future, about who we wanted to be to each other. Kristen told me Derek had changed, that becoming a father had finally made him grow up. I did not entirely believe her, but I kept an open mind. Before we parted, I told Kristen something important. I told her I would never give her large sums of money. That door was closed forever. But I would be her mother. I would be there for advice, for support, for love. I would be Emma's grandmother. Those things money could not buy. Kristen nodded. She said she understood. She said she did not want money anymore. She just wanted her mother back. I hugged her, then really hugged her for the first time in over a year. It was not a perfect reunion. We still had work to do. Trust had to be rebuilt. Boundaries had to be maintained. But it was a beginning. 2 years have passed since I first flew to Lisbon. My life now looks nothing like it did before. I split my time between Portugal and the United States. Spring and summer in Lisbon, helping Gloria at the bakery, enjoying the warm evenings on my balcony. Fall and winter in Wisconsin near Kristen and Emma, watching my granddaughter grow. The $120,000 is still in my account. I have not touched it. Instead, I set up a trust fund for Emma. The money will be hers when she turns 25, old enough to use it wisely. Until then, it stays protected, just as Marcus wanted. My relationship with Kristen continues to heal. It is different from what it was before, more honest and more careful. We do not pretend everything is perfect. When tensions arise, we talk about them instead of letting them fester. When I see warning signs of the old patterns, I speak up. Kristen has learned to listen. Derek and I maintain a polite distance. He has kept his job. He seems to be trying. I do not fully trust him, and I probably never will. But he is Emma's father, so I treat him with respect. I have made new friends in both countries. In Lisbon, there are the bakery regulars who have become like family. In Wisconsin, I have reconnected with old colleagues and neighbors. I am no longer isolated, no longer defined only by my role as mother or widow. I think about Marcus often. I like to believe he would be proud of me. I kept my promise to him. I protected what we built together, and I did not let anyone, not even our daughter, destroy me in the process. Looking back, I understand now what leaving really meant. It was not running away. It was not abandonment. It was the hardest thing I have ever done, and it was the right thing. Sometimes you have to step back so others can step up. Sometimes you have to protect yourself so you have something left to give. I do not regret the sleepless nights, or the tears, or the guilt. They were part of the journey. What I regret is waiting so long to value myself. What I regret is all of those years of giving until I was empty, thinking that was what love required. Love does not require you to destroy yourself. Love does not mean saying yes to everything. Sometimes love means saying no. Sometimes love means walking away. Sometimes love means getting on a plane and flying across an ocean to remember who you are. If you are watching this and you find yourself in a similar situation, I want you to know something. You are not selfish for having boundaries. You are not cruel for protecting yourself. You are not a bad parent for refusing to be treated like an ATM. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to leave. You are allowed to put yourself first sometimes. My daughter demanded my life savings for her baby. I emptied the account, transferred it somewhere safe, and flew away. She called me 30 times. When I finally answered, I told her the truth, that I loved her, but I would not be used, that she would have to learn to stand on her own, that I would be waiting when she was ready to have a real relationship. It took time. It took pain. But eventually she came back. Not for money. For me. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to set boundaries with someone you love? Have you ever had to walk away to protect yourself? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else who is struggling with the same thing. If this story touched you, please hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel so you do not miss more stories like this one. Share this video with someone who might need to hear it. Sometimes knowing you are not alone makes all the difference. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. May you find the courage to love yourself as much as you love others. May you find the strength to say no when you need to. And may you find the peace that comes from knowing your own worth. Until next time, take care of yourselves.